I think by now you and I have probably seen the Tears of the Kingdom trailers more times than I can count, and while there's a lot to unpack from these trailers, there is one thing that stands out to me, and something I'm still not really sure what they are or what they're even for. Hello, I'm Icy Snaps, come on in and sit down and welcome to my channel. Throughout the trailers for Tears of the Kingdom, we get to see these geoglyphs, a large-scale drawing or image made on the ground by arranging lines of stone scratching the earth, and often only visible from a distance or from the air. As we see, there is a clear resemblance to the Southern American Nazca lines located in Peru. These geoglyphs were created between 500 BCE and 500 CE. They would create these images by making depressions or shallow incisions in the desert floor, removing pebbles and then leaving differently coloured dirt exposed. Much like Tears of the Kingdom, these lines are best seen from the air or high vantage points, such as a cliff or a big hill. I'm not 100% sure, but because the inspiration behind the Zonai is distinctively South American, we can assume that these are of Zonai origin. They share similar design and culture aspects to the ancient civilization of the Nazca, but the question remains, what are they for? Alien landing zones, of course. I am just kidding, although a Zelda and aliens, I wouldn't leave it out. On a more serious note, it is still quite speculative, and there are lots of theories and a few which could ring true for Zelda. One theory is that they were part of a religious practice involving the worship of deities associated with the availability of water and meant to invoke the aid of the deities in supplying said water. But I can't see this being the purpose for these geoglyphs. I mean, in the trailer of Tears of the Kingdom there is rain, but I'm sure it's just a spot of bad weather. Other speculation believes the purpose of these lines and figures was means for the Nazca people who created them to be seen by deities in the sky, I guess a means of communication to those high up. The Nazca lines depict animals, well, for the most part. And this was probably done because they would already sacrifice certain animals to appease certain gods depending on what you needed, be it water for crops or just to keep that sun rising. In Tears of the Kingdom, we see the Nazca, or should I call them the Zonai lines, when we are high up, perhaps indicating a place of interest or importance that we need to investigate. And while it's hard to determine what the lines in Tears of the Kingdom are, there is one that we can clearly see. I'm not sure whether to suggest this is Princess Zelda or Hylia. The images we presume are Hylia show her with what I can only assume is a headdress or wings. So perhaps this figure is who we see here in the trailer. Hylia reincarnated maybe? Either way, this portrait of Zelda or Hylia tells us that there is something of significance here, either showing us that there is something important above, or perhaps something we must discover below the surface. Another theory about Nazca lines is they found groups of geoglyphs, each of them characterized by a specific motif and shape, and each associated with a distinct function. They identified some that were used for ceremonial purposes, characterized by meandering motifs, and another one is related to time, more specifically a calendar, as proved by the presence of radial centers aligned along the directions of winter solstice and the equinox sunset. In Tears of the Kingdom we see that they have different shapes, and from this we can presume different meanings. While some appear obvious, such as the Zelda or Hylia image, some seem unclear and obscure as to what they are. Some, like this example here where Link is crossing a field, although they're hard to make out, you can clearly see connecting lines making a shape. It's hard to pinpoint what this geoglyph is or why it's even here. We can perhaps guess that the Hylia or Zelda image marks significance to important places regarding Link's hand or the Master Sword, a divine place similar to the springs we find in Breath of the Wild. And the other markings, well, of course we can make predictions all day long, but we will never know until we play Tears of the Kingdom what exactly they mean. Or perhaps these Zonai lines are just markers to a goal, a sort of pilgrimage to a sacred location. And really, more importantly, how did they even get there? If they are ancient markers, then they would have been visible in Breath of the Wild, right? Much like the real Nazca lines, they're still visible today. So unless the geographical changes of Hyrule bring them into view, we can't know for sure. But that still leaves us with the one question: who the hell put them there? Well, yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked my video, please feel free to subscribe or leave a like or whatever. And yeah, I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you very much.